This Oyima edit coming to you live from a year Take a look at the headlines. Federal government to partner US on direct flight to Texas. UNICEF blames meets disinformation for poor immunization uptake in Nigeria. Plus, President Zelensky says Russia deliberately targeted the Grand Deal infrastructure. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Where President Bola Tinubu has ordered a review of his administration's plan for a monthly 8,000 naira transfer to 12 million of the poorest households in the country for 6 months in a bid to cushion the effects of the removal of fuel subsidy. The President's Special Advisor on Special Duties, Communications and Strategy, Dele Alake, in a statement noted that the cash program was not the only item in the relief package initiated by Tinubu, stressing that the President has directed that the conditional cash transfer program envisaged to bring succor to most vulnerable households be reviewed immediately. According to him, the President also directed that the entirety of the government's palliative package be unveiled to Nigerians, while ordering the immediate release of fertilizers and grains to approximately 50 million farmers and households respectively in all the 36 states and the FCT. Meanwhile, President Tinubu has said that the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is fully equipped to combat terrorism and other forms of insecurity in the region. He also said the bloc faces no challenge raising funds for the same purpose. Tinubu said this after a Troika Plus meeting at the Aso Rock Villa with Presidents Patrice Talon of Benin Republic, Umaru Embalo of Guinea-Bissau, Mohamed Bazoum of Niger Republic, and President of the ECOWAS Commission Dr. Omar Touare yesterday. The West African leaders added that he is confident in ECOWAS financial planning and engineering capabilities to secure the necessary resources to tackle terrorism and insecurity. Well, from that, the Federal Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace says it will collaborate with the United States on direct flight to Houston, Texas. The Permanent Secretary, Dr. Emmanuel Maribole, made the premise during a visit to the ministry by a delegation from the United States led by the Mayor of Houston, Texas, Sylvester Turner, in Abuja. The ministry promised the U.S. delegation that the federal government of Nigeria would work on his request for a direct flight from Nigeria to Houston, a consulate office in Houston, and expand bilateral relations with the government of America. According to a statement by the spokesperson for the ministry, Odutayo Olusei, all modalities required for the bilateral air services agreement, BASA, between Nigeria and the U.S. for the direct flight to Texas would commence as soon as new ministers are appointed and deployed in Nigeria. From the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has resolved to set up an ad hoc committee to ask the Federal Character Commission (FCC) to make available details of appointments undertaken by federal ministries, departments and agencies between 2015 through 2023, covering the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari. The resolution was made following the adoption of a motion on the need to compel the Federal Character Commission to carry out diligent discharge its constitutional and statutory mandate in Enugu East Federal Constituency, noted that the FCC Act was enacted in 1995 and enshrined in the 1999 Constitution with the primary responsibility to promote, monitor, and enforce compliance with the principles of the equitable distribution of all bureaucratic, economic, media, and political positions across all tiers of government. According to him, no other constitution in Nigeria's history entrenched such regulatory body and vested same with powers of escalations. The federal lawmaker lamented that 28 years after the enactment aimed at national cohesion and equal opportunities, and 24 years after its constitutional entrenchment, public perception is that there is an unchecked domination of bureaucratic, economic, media, and political positions by a section of the country to the detriment of others. The House, however, gave the committee 4 weeks to submit its report for further legislative action. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has also cautioned security agencies to desist from destroying vessels containing stolen crude oil, saying the practice is having a negative impact on the environment. This followed the adoption of a motion on the need to discourage the destruction of vessels laden with stolen crude oil with a view to curbing environmental pollution in the Niger Delta region, moved by Thomas Eritomi. Eritomi in the motion told the House that there have been reports of interception, arrest, and subsequent destruction of vessels laden with stolen crude oil in the Niger Delta area in recent times. He cited a vessel, Tura II, which he claimed was destroyed in the Excravos River in Warri Southwest local government area of Delta State. The House, however, mandated its Committee on Environment when constituted to ensure strict compliance against vessels destruction. On electoral matters, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Mahmoud Yakubu, and his national commissioners has met with members of the various transport unions which the commission had engaged during the 2023 general elections. A meeting which had as its main objective the review of the conduct of the 2023 general elections was also attended by electoral officers. According to the Commission, a review of the conduct of the engaged transport union visa. Reports say the meeting also took stock of how the electoral officers who served as field supervisors carried out the assignments. On judicial matters, a suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, has asked the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos to admit him to bail on self-recognition pending the hearing and determination of the charge filed against him by the federal government. The bail application, which was filed by his lead counsel, Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015 and the inherent powers of the court. The suspended CBN governor also said that granting him bail would afford him, as well as his status of being a former CBN governor. The defendant said he is not a flight to risk and would not jump bail if it is granted. While promising to attend trial punctually, the defendant also indicated his willingness to provide responsible sureties as may be required by the court as a condition. Fund UNICEF has blamed myths, misinformation, and rumors as major contributing factors to poor immunization in Nigeria. The Kano UNICEF field chief, Rahama Raf, stated these. He said, although immunization has been the single most cost-effective and high-impact, needs to be enhanced. FAR urged media practitioners to create the demand for immunization and to raise awareness of the importance of immunization by providing accurate information to care organizations, to forge partnerships to eliminate the number of unimmunized children in Nigeria. Back here, doctors and nurses in Uyo have warned that people with HIV are prone to having tuberculosis. Speaking of Spectrum Television, a nurse at Handmaid Hospital, Mbodidem Umoren, said HIV and tuberculosis are linked and warned that such persons should desist from self-medication.
1.9 million Nigerians were living with HIV. Women were the most affected group, counting 1,100 individuals. Also, children up to the age of 14 who were HIV positive equaled 170,000. Tuberculosis is the second leading infectious killer disease globally. People living with HIV are more likely than others to become sick with tuberculosis. This is because HIV weakens the immune system, which makes it harder for the body to fight TB germs. Spectrum Television spoke to Dr. Nkeruem Etok and Nurse Mbatidem Morgan, who explained the link between HIV and tuberculosis while stating the negative effect of self-medication.
When you have those symptoms, the only way you can confirm that this patient is a tuberculosis patient is to go for tests.
We know that HIV and tuberculosis they are husband and wife. So that is why we put our eye to, especially for people with HIV, because of their immune system. And you know that tuberculosis is an airborne disease. So people think that they are free in the society. No, that is why we advise for total medical checkup at least once in a year, because before you some signs and symptoms of TB that some people may also neglect are coughing, persistent fever or intermittent fever that we may have this week, next week goes come back, then drenching night sweat. This one, if no matter that is none, coughing. Now another one is losing of weight. This person that was fat before is losing weight every day. Going to the hospital doing HIV test negative. Have you gone for TB screening?
So it is not that. It is just a disease like any other disease, except that it does not respond to the common medication that one will go to the pharmacy or to the chemist and just buy things and go and take, and it does not go, it means this thing is not a medicine thing I have tried. So he resorts to no. Go to the hospital, meet your doctor, get the proper diagnosis, and get treated. Once you are treated, you are good to go.
HIV is not a death. Blessing Dixit, Spectrum Television News.
We move now to Africa, where South Africa's ruling African National Congress, ANC, is reportedly hosting meetings with members of political parties from Brazil, Russia, India, China and others ahead of the BRICS summit on August 22nd in Johannesburg. Reports say the conflict in Ukraine remains one of the main topics of discussion. According to reports, it is not clear if Russian President Vladimir Putin will attend next month's summit of the BRICS emerging economies. But South Africa's Deputy President Paul Mashatile said in an interview that the country is trying to persuade Putin to stay away to avoid a legal and diplomatic fallout over his international arrest warrant. Still in Africa, Chinese President Xi Jinping has held China's relationship with Algeria in a meeting in the capital Beijing with his Algerian counterpart Abdel Majid Tebboune. Xi Jinping said China and Algeria for 65 years have shared well and war, helped each other and met in South Africa. According to reports, since 2014, Algeria and China have been strategic partners and have pledged to expand their cooperation in the economy, trade, energy, space, and health. On the foreign scene, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that in attacking Odessa, Russia was deliberately targeting infrastructure associated with the Black Sea Grain Deal, following its decision to withdraw from the initiative on Monday. Zelensky noted that every Russian missile is a strike not only against Ukraine but against Russia's second night of attacks on Odessa shows Moscow needs hunger and problems in the countries of the global south. Still on the foreign scene, the Foreign Affairs Committee of the European Parliament has urged the international community to consider an arrest warrant for Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko over the country's role in Ukraine war to Moscow. The EU lawmaker said Belarus is responsible for damage caused to and crimes committed in Ukraine, including through the government's role in the illegal transfers of children. Recall that the ICC in March issued an arrest warrant for Russian President Vladimir Putin and Russian official Maria. Still to come in the news, AIU suspends Toby Amosun for 3 whereabouts failures. Just stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. We move on to the rest of the news stories. On a business news, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, says its members increased the pump price per litre of petrol from 500 to over 670 naira to stay afloat. The IPMAN president, Chinedu Okoronkwo, made this known in a live broadcast. According to him, many IPMAN members have gone out of business due to the removal of subsidy on petrol, as they were unable to raise money to load from depots and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company (NNPC) Limited. The members noted that the timing of the price increment was not an issue, adding that government must work out measures to mitigate the effect of the price adjustment and ease the pressure on dollars. Still in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has released an updated list of Bureau de Change (BDC) dealers approved in the country. According to the list published by the Apex Bank, the total number of approved BDC operators reduced to 2,991 and total licenses withdrawn is 2,698. Recall that in 2022, the Central Bank published a similar list in a document titled List of CBN Licensed Bureau de Change as of December 31st, 2021, where the CBN had approved 5,689 dealers. Reports say the number of BDCs grew by more than 100% under the former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, who banned the sale of foreign exchange to BDCs over round-tripping and involvement in illegal financial flows. Under the new administration, a document titled Policy Advisory Council Report National Economy Subcommittee advised on implementation of key reforms such as raising the capitalization for BDC operators. In health, public health experts have called on the federal and state government to increase disease surveillance and control mechanism to ensure that the first anthrax case confirmed in Niger State does not spread to other parts of the country. They also urged the Nigerian Center for Disease Control (NCDC) to isolate and vaccinate all. Dr. Euphemia Okonkwo, there is a need for the federal government, not just state government, and NCDC to procure anthrax spore vaccines for immediate vaccination of all animals within the point of outbreak and environs. Also speaking, another public health expert, Dr. Christian Ekpunobi, said he is optimistic disease that can spread like a wildfire. Meanwhile, the consultant and infectious disease physician Dr. Iroyin Akase has said that there is an urgent need for the federal government to make funding available for monitoring and surveillance to effectively respond to the anthrax disease outbreak in Niger State and prevent it from spreading to other parts of the country. Dr. Akase, who is the head of the Infectious Disease Unit and COVID-19 response team at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Idi Araba, said anthrax is a deadly zoonotic disease that can be transmitted from animals to humans. The consultant advised Nigerians to adhere strictly to health guidelines issued by health authorities, such as exercising caution when buying animals like cows, camels, sheep, goats, and other livestock, especially from neighboring countries like Benin Republic, Chad, Niger, Ghana, and Togo, to reduce the potential risks of infection and spread of the disease. To sport, where the Athletics Integrity Unit (AIU) has taken the decision to provisionally suspend Nigerian track and field athlete Tobi Amosun for 3 missed whereabouts failures. Suspension was announced. The charge will be heard by the disciplinary tribunal and determined before the World Athletics Championship. Tabia Mosun, age 26, is the women's hurdles world record holder who has represented Nigeria in numerous international competitions. Still in sports, Bayern Munich has begun their pre-season preparations with a 27-0 victory over FC Rotterdam. Reports say 4 players scored hat-tricks: Jamal Musiala, Marcel Sabitzer, and 18-year-old Mates Tell each found the back of the net 5 times, and Serge Gnabry also grabbed 3. Meanwhile, Rafael Guerrero netted a brace, while Sadio Mane and Kingsley Coman also got on the score sheet. The 27-goal Roth bested their previous match against Rotterdam in 2019 when Bayern won 23-0. According to reports, the team are having their pre-season training camp in Tegernsee near the Australian border. On our entertainment news, Nollywood veteran Kanayo has cautioned filmmakers over misleading pictures of dressing and makeup in movies. Kanayo, in a video on his Instagram page, said that most times filmmakers do not align with movie costumiers. According to the actor, it is important to be realistic in images created by filmmakers, noting that by doing so the industry would become more credible and acquire a more formidable character with which it cannot be ignored in the national and international agenda. Still on entertainment, Spice Girl, Melanie C, pop star Self-Esteem, and Wolf Alice singer Ella Rosell have teamed up to record a song for the England's Women's World Cup team, titled Call Me a Lioness. The track references England players. Both players are back on the squad for the World Cup, which kicks off in Australia this week. Mel C said she was cheering on the women's team to bring the cup home again. And that's all we have for you this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum TV News at 2. I am Francis Oyima, Edit. Many thanks for being there, and do enjoy the rest of your day.